Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us for this week's Thursday with AARP Wisconsin. I am Amber Miller, your host. And before we get to our guest, just a couple announcements. Please always make sure to check out the AARP Wisconsin website. Should you need information about upcoming events, volunteering with us, COVID vaccine, and booster information, it really has ample amount of information. So I definitely encourage you to check out aarp.org/WI. Please also remember about the Community Connections initiative that launched last year. If you go to the website below, aarpcommunityconnections.org, there's a couple different things you'll find there. One is you can actually look for local volunteer opportunities within your neighborhood, but you can also create your own opportunities. So if you're looking maybe to put together a couple people for neighborhood cleanup, you could actually do that through the website. And then also the AARP Friendly Voice Initiative. This also launched last year. It is free, no cost. You do not need to be an AARP member, and it's open to all ages. And what you could do is put a request in for yourself or for a loved one to receive a phone call from one of our trained AARP volunteers. Because as we know, sometimes it's nice to just hear a friendly voice on the other end. So you could get that information below or by calling 1-888-281-0145. And lastly, if you're looking for volunteer opportunities, we'd love for you to join the AARP Wisconsin volunteer family. There's additional information at aarp.org/I want, and then the number 2. So I want to volunteer. So if you're looking for maybe more information about opportunities or even to apply for a volunteer position, you could do that below or by also going to the AARP Wisconsin website. There are ample amount of virtual opportunities, so we'd love to touch base with you more about those opportunities. So I'm very excited about our guests this week. It is Christina FitzPatrick, and you're probably like, who is that with AARP Wisconsin? But we're very lucky to have her as our interim AARP Wisconsin State Director. So I'd love to have Christina join us. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you, Amber. I'm really happy to join this.
And Christina, for the folks who are watching this live, can you mention where you currently live? Because you do not live in Wisconsin.
I do not. I live in Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C., and I work in the national office.
Great. So Christina, she's going to talk a little bit about, it's interesting, not only is she the interim state director of AARP Wisconsin, because as you may know, our former state director, Sam Wilson, is now our regional vice president. We're actually going to, you probably saw the show last week with him on, but so we're so lucky to have Christina. And Christina did get her first kind of taste of Wisconsin as we sent her a Kringle for just like a holiday gift to welcome you. But Kringle, of course, is like the Wisconsin dessert, breakfast, lunch, dinner. You could have it whenever you would like. So how was the Kringle, Christina? Tell our viewers.
The Kringle is delicious, and I have to tell you, I've eaten some of it, but a lot of it has been disappearing with my family members enjoying it as well. So it was heartwarming to receive it, and we really enjoyed it.
Great. And it normally does not last long at functions, even here where it's readily available. But so Christina, would you be so kind to introduce yourself, maybe besides being the interim director, your current position at the national office, and a little bit about how long you've been with AARP?
Sure. So I have been with AARP for 14 years, and I work in the Office of Policy Development and Integration, and I cover economic issues. So things like Social Security, retirement, income, employment issues, budget and tax policy, food and nutrition assistance. So my portfolio is fairly broad, and we are in charge of something called the Policy Book. And I encourage everybody to check that out if you haven't. It's policybook.aarp.org. And that includes all of the policy that the AARP Board of Directors has approved. And it serves as the basis for all of the advocacy work that AARP does, but also all the programming that we do, the partnerships that we have, and our own personnel policies. So we really try to walk the talk.
And I know Darren just put the website in, and I also encourage you. I think sometimes, and we get this quite a bit too, AARP, oh, it's a discount program. AARP does so many more things, and I think that website about exactly what Christina's been working on. So Christina, tell us a little bit about what interests you about the interim position right now with AARP Wisconsin as the state director.
There are so many things, so I'll list off a few. So one is that I've worked at the national office for the whole 14 years that I've been at AARP, and I've enjoyed that and have made a lot of connections there. But one of the things that I only get to do occasionally is work with state offices. And often that's advising about what's in this policy book, how do we interpret it in a particular situation. But I've always been fascinated because the state offices are on the ground. They're making things happen for our members. It's very fast paced. The things I do have a longer term horizon than the day-to-day work of the state offices. So I've been really interested in learning more about that on the ground work because it's so important to what AARP does. And I've already learned a lot and I'm really happy to be here.
If you had to pick maybe two things, what has surprised you? Now, you've been in the interim position, would it be almost about a month?
I think this is my third week.
Yeah. What maybe surprises you, as you stated, you've been working at the national office, which is located in Washington, D.C., and if I'm not mistaken, it has a couple, like 1,000 employees, if I'm not mistaken.
It might be more like 1,500 or
1,500. It's a lot of folks. The state office, of course, we're lean and mean. There's about 7 or 8 of us. So what has surprised you in the last 3 weeks about being interim director that was maybe a kind of like a eureka moment of like, wow, I didn't even know this or think about this?
One thing that I thought I knew, but I didn't really understand is just how many communications state offices get from the national office of opportunities and requests. And there are a lot of systems that different members of the staff need to understand and use. And so that's a lot. Like there are lots of benefits to being in the state office and having this connection to the national office. Like even though the office is small, it's not like, it's not a standalone nonprofit organization trying to make things work. And so being affiliated with the national office brings a lot of resources in terms of knowledge and expertise and things like that. But there's a cost to it in terms of it's hard to keep. I don't know. AARP has more than 2,000 employees, so it's tough to keep all those people organized, keep us all on the same page, and so that's a lot. It's worth it, but there's a lot to keep track of.
And I will say for our viewers who are watching this, when maybe somebody possibly leaves AARP, gets promoted, or maybe moves to another department, they post these interim positions, which is a really great opportunity for other staff like Christina and other folks to kind of get more boots on the ground and learn about what other offices are doing. So it's a really great opportunity because I don't know, on the flip side, a lot of what goes on the national office. So it's kind of a nice way to not only learn new stuff, but also it's been really great working with Christina. Christina, with the policy, if we could come back to that a little bit, what are some things that you see that AARP might be focusing on for next year that might be in the pipeline or of interest to our viewers?
Well, there's a lot of ongoing work based on our strategic plan. So that there's some focus on Social Security, on financial resilience, in terms of helping people manage debt and promote savings in the workplace. There's also work on caregiving, on promoting livable communities, on helping older workers in terms of systemic issues of trying to combat age discrimination. but also making sure that people who want to found a business or want to do work on their own have the resources available to do that.
There is a lot going on with AARP. So if you're thinking like, what are some of the focuses that AARP will be looking at next year, I definitely encourage you to look at the policy website that Christina mentioned. Christina, you have not been to Wisconsin yet. Is that correct?
I actually visited Milwaukee.
That's right.
Probably 15 years ago. So it's been a long time.
What was, because you live on the East Coast, what was kind of your take on Wisconsin? Some memorable things that you did here, or the weather? Hopefully you came when it wasn't so cold.
The weather was lovely.
Good.
And the place I stayed was pretty near the lake. And I had never seen one of the Great Lakes before. So that was quite an experience. I ate custard. I ate cheese curd. What else did I
That's
do?
all you need in your diet is that.
Yeah. And now Kringle, so the trifecta.
Yes. No, it's interesting when people have not been to Wisconsin or near the Great Lakes, they don't realize how big it is.
Yeah.
They just think it's kind of like a little pond or something. I was like, no, it's fairly big. And Christina, for our viewers, is there anything that you would like to kind of share with them as some final words just about your time with AARP, or the impact that you're hoping to see with AARP Wisconsin?
Sure. One of the things that I really like about working at AARP is that it is a big organization, and when I have worked at nonprofits in the past, they've been pretty small. And so people wear a lot of hats. So the person who writes the press release is also writing the talking points and is also, doing other things in the office. And one of the things that I really remember from my first year at AARP was being in a meeting, and we had brought in people with different kinds of expertise. So there was a media relations person. There was somebody who did social media. There was somebody who did research. There were lobbyists. There were people who specialized in member communications, people from the foundation. And it was just this real synergy among all these different departments and areas of expertise that it just takes the work to another level. And what's been fun to see in Wisconsin is how this small but mighty team accomplishes the same thing. I mean, you all have a lot of different areas of expertise that you share with each other, and the whole really is greater than the sum of the parts. So that's been really great to see.
Great. Well, Christina, I want to thank you so much for being our guest. And I also want to thank you so much for just being part of the AARP team in general, but also the AARP Wisconsin team. It's just been really great working with you, hearing your insight from a different perspective, not only working at the national level, but also the policy level. So it's been really great having you. And of course, we'd love to keep you forever. If you would like to move to Wisconsin, we would fill you with custard and cheese curd. So anytime. So
all right. I appreciate the offer.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Christina. We appreciate you joining us today.
Good. Thank you, Amber. Take care.
Thank you. And as always, if you're looking for upcoming events, we would love for you to visit the AARP Wisconsin website, as you can see what virtual offerings will be coming up. Also, please remember the Small Dollar Big Impact Grant. Applications will be due January 18th. And if you recall, this is a grant that nonprofits, municipalities can apply for up to $1,000. So if you have a really great out of the box, impactful idea, we definitely encourage you to go to www.aarp.org/WI and then SDBI, which stands for Small Dollar Big Impact. So this is the last show of the year. We love that you visit us on Thursdays, or if you watch this in replay, we will, of course, be looking forward to bringing you some new additional shows, of course, in the new year. So until then, we hope you had a great holiday and a happy new year, and we will see you next year. Take care.